Now get ready to turn things over to our speaker for the morning. Christopher Lydon is the Vice President for Enrollment Management and Marketing at the Catholic University of America. He is responsible for developing and administering the university's undergraduate enrollment, student recruitment, and marketing strategies, as well as directing university-wide services in admission, financial aid, student registration, billing, marketing, and communication. Chris has 33 years of experience in higher education, in college admission and enrollment management. Prior to his arrival at Catholic, he served as Vice President for Enrollment Management and Marketing at Stonehill College in Massachusetts, and as Associate Vice President for Enrollment Planning and Dean of Admission at Providence College, where he was my boss for 2 years. He also previously served as Director of Admission and Financial Aid at both LaSalle University and the University of Dallas, and as Director of Admission at Anna Maria College. Chris is a former member of the Admission Practices Committee for the New England Association for College Admission Counseling, and also served on the New England College Board's Regional Council. He's also a past president of the National Catholic College Admission Association. Chris holds a BA in English from Providence College and an MA in Professional Communication from LaSalle University. So we'd like to offer our great thanks to Chris for being here with us this morning.
Thanks, Anna. I get stuck on the 33 years part of that, and the rest of it just kind of blends together at that point. Thank you so much for welcoming me and inviting me to come down and speak with you all 1/4 of the way through your son's sophomore year to talk about college. Take a deep breath. I saw the hands. Do it again for me. How many of you've done this before? This will not be your first one. So almost half, well, maybe a third or so. So those of you who've gone through it before, are you already experts?
No.
Great answer. I have 33 years. I'm in the 34th year in the college admission profession, and I've done this 3 times as a parent. And my kids came 3 years in a row, so senior, junior, sophomore in high school. So we did one college search that lasted 3 years. It kind of felt like it was never going to end. I personally went on 25 campus visits. And the interesting thing for me, of course, was that in this world, when my kids were kind of checking out about the experience, like you could almost tell that already this was not going to be the fit, I was still kind of engaged professionally. I'm like, they do that well. Ooh, we do that better. You know, those kind of things, having those experiences. So a lot of my perspective on college planning is from the 2 hats, the professional hat and the parental hat. What I watched my own kids go through, 2 boys and a girl, they were smart enough to listen to me enough to minimize some of their stress, but part of what I really took away from it was, you know, sitting in high school basketball games, sitting in high school baseball games, and having a parent sidle up to me and say, "Can I ask you just one thing?" And then, you know, a crowd comes around and you became the most popular person there. But there's a lot of anxiety. Those of you who've gone through it before, and you're looking at your son, and maybe you've had a daughter go somewhere else as well. You look at your kids and you're looking at the lens of what you see them as here and what you project their college experiences to be and what you want for them. And there's obviously a lot of anxiety associated with this. Part of the goal of starting the process, at least in thinking at an early stage, of course, is to minimize stress. And the reason that counseling offices invite college admission professionals to come in is hopefully to demystify to some degree, you know, what goes on behind the curtain as far as that's concerned. And certainly over the life of my career, the college admission process has changed a great deal as far as that's concerned. And you know, there was no really national publicity about college admission in 1985. And now you can't pull a newspaper without seeing an article about some aspect of the process, whether it's affordability or selectivity, fit, all these different things. So where you are right now, as I said, sitting 1/4 into your son's sophomore year, where the first deadlines for your sons are, roughly speaking, 23 months from now. They're longer out than your sons have been in high school. What are you supposed to be thinking about right now? What's important to begin this process? And I really want to kind of cover 3 basic ideas. The first is what it means to create opportunity throughout high school. The secondly is a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish in searching for schools that are a good fit, and then a little bit of what we as colleges focus on in the review. Some of you, again, if you've gone through this, you may have some of these experiences. If you're going through it for the first time, then hopefully this is particularly valuable. First key really is opportunity. And I define opportunity as all of the choices that a student makes in high school about what classes they take, the ways in which they're involved either on the campus or in the community. The choices that a student makes throughout high school impacts the opportunity of what the list might look for when you get to the college process, when you get really into picking the schools to visit, to then narrow down to the schools to apply to, and ultimately, of course, the school to enroll at as far as that's concerned. So you're in an environment here, of course, that is 100% college prep driven. You're in an environment where you're investing in a secondary school education to provide both the best opportunity for your boys between the ages of, roughly speaking, 14 and 18, and the preparation for what they're going to do between the ages of 18 and 22. Given the Gilman curriculum, given the choices that the students will have in terms of taking classes above the Gilman standard level, the college preparatory level, classes that will be on the honors or the AP level, every decision that a student makes during high school, often in consultation with their parents and their counselors and their teachers, creates and defines opportunity. You want to drop a subject because it's not your favorite, you're going to take an easier elective in its place? Well, that affects college choice. Every decision throughout high school affects the decisions that a student will make or the opportunity a student will have as they go through the college process. So part of the reason that you engage in this process now in the sophomore years is so that as you get to things like junior class schedule, and even more importantly to senior class schedule, that there's an opportunity to speak with the school counselor, to your school counselor, to speak with others about what's the best fit of curriculum, what's the best fit of maximizing what Gilman offers for what your sons are interested in studying and doing. Because in the process, and I'll talk again about what colleges look for toward the back end of this, but the best way to prepare for college is actually to maximize high school. Because if your son right now, and as parents, you're solely focused on what the end game is going to be, then you're missing, in essence, the Gilman experience from that perspective. As I said, the best preparation for college is a great high school experience. High school is 4 years long for a reason. That developmental process, that development of intellectual maturity and personal maturity is required for all 4 years. And one of the challenges in the college admission process is where kids apply early and we see work through junior year and kids think, okay, I got into a couple of colleges in November, December of the senior year, and now the pressure can go off the gas pedal as far as that's concerned. You have to fulfill all of your commitments through 4 years of high school to really be best prepared for college. So a little pop quiz. What's the most important year of high school? I hear a lot of, how many think junior year? Most important year of high school. All right, how many think this is the year right here, sophomore year? Any takers for the first year that sets the whole tone? And how many want to go senior year? All right, now many of you didn't raise your hands. Someone who didn't raise your hand, why did you not pick any of the 4 years?
Because they're all important.
Yeah. It's everything.
Each one, they have different categories of priority, but they're important. Even in your senior year, finishing well is still important.
Wow, he gets an A. The most important year of high school is the year your son is in. Now, so that I heard that soft junior year kind of start. Often, mythologically, the junior year, the courses start to get a little tougher. Often, they're able to focus a little more on academic interests. Junior year often kind of is perceived that way. What can your son do right now about junior year? Absolutely nothing. What can they do about their freshman year performance that's already done? Absolutely nothing. All your son can do right now is have the best sophomore experience that they can have. And that will prepare them for junior year. And all they can do is have the best possible junior year experience. And that will prepare them for senior year. And in the senior year, if they think it doesn't matter, Anna can tell you, would you say 8 years of college admission experience? 9 years. Sorry, I sold you short there. 9 years of college admission experience. I tell you, in my 33 years of college admission experience, I've seen more admission decisions impacted by the senior year performance than by the junior year performance. It is a 4-year game, and we've all had that experience on the college side of in May or June of the senior year, where the student was admitted in November, and the outcome in April or May was not the same. And every now and then, you either send that warning letter of, well, we're not sure we want to keep you admitted, or we've actually, every now and then, not even necessarily once a year, but you'll see decisions rescinded because a student did not complete their obligation. High school is for all 4 years, and that will prepare your son to best jump off and be successful in college. So right now, here we are talking about college, but the most important thing is what kind of experience is your son having right now at Gilman, in the classroom, on the athletic field, in community service, doing whatever it is as far as that's concerned. So opportunity comes from maximizing what's in front of you right now and not worrying so much about what's to come next. The junior year will take care of itself, the senior year will take care of itself. And if those, how many of you have daughters? Okay. How different are your boys from your girls? You just start laughing, yeah. Exactly. So, the other thing is that you've gone through this before, and each kid is different too. So just because you've had a search that went one way with an older one, or one way with a girl, each kid in your household is going to have different interests and different needs in this process. Some will be stronger academically, some will be more focused on what academic subject they want to study from that perspective. So you go through this multiple times, but it really isn't like Groundhog Day. It doesn't happen exactly the same way with each student because each student has their own personality. So opportunity, the best preparation for the college process is maximizing the high school experience. And by that, I don't necessarily mean, well, make sure you go join 13 different clubs. It's about finding the things that are of interest, understanding the academic subjects that really fit for a student. Some of your sons might know already that they're more of that math science kid or they're more a humanities kid, that they definitely think they want to right now go on to medical school, law school, and that may change 3 times, or it may not change at all. Some kids actually do follow a path that they think about at 15 and it actually is the path they follow. But everything that you get the opportunity to experience here, the investment you're making in the Gilman education, that's what, by maximizing that, sets the course for college. And if you're doing that well, then the other steps in the college process that the counselors have talked about, from whether it's test prep or meeting your advisor for the first time in junior year, and leading up to the visits and to the schools the student applies to and everything else, it does follow in sequence, but it works best if focusing on a great high school experience doesn't get drowned out by the noise of, well, college is coming and college is coming. It's coming for everyone, and it'll get there in time as far as that's concerned. So think about opportunity. Maximizing what Gilman offers is the best way to start to think about how you put together the best possible application as far as that's concerned. Now, from the standpoint of searching, it's early. There's the tour this coming summer that maybe, as a rising junior, some of your sons will go on as far as that's concerned. The idea of seeing a variety of types of campuses is really important, because there are some kids who think, I want big state U football, I want all that, and they walk onto a campus that's 680 acres and has 40,000 students and realize it's not like Gilman. Wow, that's not necessarily the experience I want to have. Or they start to visit some small liberal arts colleges and realize that, well, that's too much like Gilman. I need something bigger. I want to be broader as far as that's concerned. So early visits, opportunities to just be on college campuses without necessarily investing in a lot of travel, just put a pin down and look at an hour from here and how many different types of schools that are out there. Doing just a casual campus tour, things like that, can really help to set an idea of what the interest may be. As you think about, again, 15, 16-year-old boys, there's a lot of, I don't know what I want. There's, it can be very overwhelming. And I think the other thing that's very important is to recognize that starting early will mean different things to different parents and to different kids. Some of your 15-year-old boys may not really be ready to invest in a college discussion. Maybe a little easier if they've watched an older one go to school, but at 15, conceptually, again, 5 quarters in the high school with so much more to go, it may not be time to have that. And as parents, part of your job is to keep stress level at a reasonable place. If you're stressing about college as sophomores, What does that mean for academic performance? What does it mean that you're focusing on the wrong thing? So understanding all that, I think, is really important. So as you go through this process, as you complete sophomore year, and you have an opportunity to visit some schools, one of the things that I think is really important is how parents and students engage in conversation. You know, for you know, maybe the decision to come here, depending on what age they came to the school, they may have had some decision. If they've been here for life, then they probably had no choice in where they went to school. But it's very important that you think about the parent-student conversation. Understanding what your sons are thinking about for interests. Being willing to share your perspective on, you know, you're really good in that area. I mean, like, you know, think about how that might be a fit for you. It's a two-way street as far as that's concerned. There was a comment about finances early on. One of the challenges I see as we get into senior year with kids and the process is that if parents have not had a really mature adult conversation with their kids about affordability, is money an issue? Look, you have to go where you're going to get a good merit package because we've got 3 kids behind you. That money is no factor, but helping your son understand the economic reality is an important part of this process and creates kind of a maturity discussion as far as that's concerned. I'm not saying you open the books per se, but you do explain expectations and the investment that you're able to make as a parent from that perspective. Ultimately, the search process itself is going to revolve around what I call 3 different kitchen table discussions. And you're anywhere from a few months to many months away from even the first one of these discussions. And the 3 discussions go like this. Where should we visit? Where is that list of schools? Are you a local kid? Are you a regional kid, kind of between Boston and Washington? Is it national? Are we really looking all over the country? And if we are looking all over the country, are we going to do a lot of visits before you apply? Or are there going to be certain schools that, well, they look like they're a fit from the web and from the research you've done, but we'll visit them after you're admitted as far as that's concerned? So the first family discussion, what I call the kitchen table discussion, is where do the visits take place? And as I said, I participated in 25. My wife probably went to 7 or 8 others that I didn't go on. So we did 30 plus college visits between the 3 kids. And there was a lot of planning about what are we doing on a spring break, what are we doing over the summer as far as that's concerned. And you want to make sure that those visits reflect depth and breadth of opportunity that your son might be looking at as far as schools are concerned. And you can certainly be doing some of that this summer between sophomore and junior year. But recognize that 12 months in the life of a 16-year-old is a lot of time. And what might be really, really interesting this summer might have gone completely off the table by the summer before senior year. So I wouldn't do a lot of heavy shopping the summer between sophomore and junior year, just some kind of broad exposure. It's spring of junior year, summer of before senior year that is really the best time to do a lot of great visiting, because I think in that context you have the opportunity to see what's really coming down the pike as far as that's concerned. Second kitchen table discussion, where will he apply? Not we, because of course he's applying, you're all supporting. Where will he apply for admission? So the visits take place, that list narrows down, there might be 10, 15, maybe 20 schools that get visited, and then there'll be some optimum number of schools for the applications. And that might be 6 or 7 for a very narrow search. It might be up to about maybe 10 or so for a very broad search. Most kids don't need to apply to more than 8 to 10 schools to have an effective search. And of course, the third kitchen table discussion is offers in hand. Where are you going to go? And as I tell kids, sometimes we do these sessions and the kids are in the audience as well. And you know, mom and dad, it's your son's college search. Kids, your moms and dads have known you for 17 years. They've got a role to play in this too. There is this partnership. Your perspective on fit for your son is very important to be able to share as far as that's concerned. But ultimately, of course, you need to help them be able to figure out where they see themselves as having a good fit in their process as well. So as sophomore parents, it's a long game. There's time for patience. There's opportunity for just kind of letting this evolve. And again, back to the opportunity point, the better they're experiencing here, the better they're opening doors for the kinds of colleges that will be available to them when it does become time for application as far as that's concerned. The kinds of things that we look for, what's important to us, really focuses a little bit on where I started. We want kids who have been very engaged in their high school experience, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom. I've worked at test optional institutions for the last, I guess now it's 11 years. So it's been a long time since I've been in an environment where we required a standardized test. But even schools that do require standardized tests, and even back when I was in a test-required environment, nothing trumps the experience in the classroom in high school. And so part of what I talked about with opportunity at the beginning, in terms of course selection, in terms of maximizing the opportunities that are here, colleges and universities recognize the differences in high schools, the differences in experiences. Gilman provides colleges with a great profile for all the students who they send an application for. So we can see depth and breadth of curriculum, we can see depth and breadth of the student test score ranges and things like that. So it's our job as college admission professionals to understand schools. And so when we look at students who've come from a school like Gilman, we know there's tremendous opportunity. What has that student chosen to take advantage of in the classroom? Have they maximized their curriculum? As your sons develop maybe their academic focus to some degree, and there's also nothing wrong with being undecided. Lots of college kids go to college undecided. Many college kids go to college with a major and change it. So there's you know, you don't worry about if you get to the end of junior year and there's not yet one clear academic focus. But if there is an academic focus, understanding what it means to be interested in the sciences, whether it's a pre-med track or physics or engineering or something like that, and understanding the importance then of curriculum and math sciences in those areas. Understanding that colleges, if you're applying into programs in the mathematical science areas, STEM programs, the colleges are going to pay a great deal of attention to math science preparation. If you're a humanities kid, you certainly care a little bit less about whether it's AP calculus or not, and care much more about how the English and the history and the humanity courses have played out, because we're looking for kids who have fit to their strengths as far as that's concerned. So that curriculum component is vitally important. Grades, of course, with all the colleges in the country, the most selective schools, you know, are obviously looking for grades that are almost all at the top end. A lot of schools out there where a B+ is rock solid middle of that school's profile. So the grade will be relative to the kind of schools your kids are applying to, but the curriculum matters across the board, maximizing opportunity. We never say, make sure you take every AP that's offered, because overscheduling is as bad or sometimes worse than underscheduling, and putting your kids in a position where the curriculum choices are beyond reasonable expectation. First of all, whether that means it minimizes their ability to take advantage of extracurriculars and do other things and build that part of their life. The right balance of curriculum is a vital part of a healthy high school experience, and it also helps with the college preparation. And particularly when you start working with your advisor and then of course with your college counselor, building a schedule that makes sense will be something you get a lot of guidance, you know, for here as far as that's concerned. Now, it's our job as college admission officers to recognize the differences between schools. At Catholic, we get applications from about 1,400 high schools every year. And so it's our job to understand the distinctions in those schools. It's our job to understand what you're investing in human education, and that all grades are not created equal. That a school that sends 100% of its students to four-year colleges is probably at a different level of rigor than a school that might send 20 or 30% of their students to four-year colleges. So it's our job, the value of the profile, the value of years of experience, it's our job to be able to understand the context of a student's high school experience, and to understand what you've invested in as parents for both an academic and an overall extracurricular personal environment as far as that's concerned. So all these things matter. We build our review around what does the school offer, what does the student take, and how did the student achieve in those classes. And for schools that require standardized tests, then of course there's a range that they're looking for as far as the test scores are concerned. But at most colleges, there are many more students who are qualified to be admitted than there are spaces. And so it's so important not to minimize the human component of the application process. The things that come out of the essays, the things that come out of the school recommendations, the things that come out of the activities list, things that might come through in an interview if the school recommends or requires interviews. Because among all those students who meet the GPA requirement, most colleges then have to make the selection based on the majors that they offer, based on the clubs and organizations, whether it's varsity sports involvement, whether it's strong programs in performing arts. All of those personal characteristics are basically how the academic ties get broken. We've got 74 undergraduate majors. I have to make sure that we're enrolling a student body that's going to populate all 74 of those majors, our 21 Division III sports, our performing arts programs, 85 other clubs and organizations. So among those who are qualified, the human component plays a major role in what it is that we're looking for from that perspective. So that kind of, a talent in the arts is not going to work a miracle if a student is not qualified for the school. But among those qualified students, these human components play a great deal as far as that's concerned. You're a long way from essay. For those of you who've gone through it before, you know what that process is like in terms of working on essay, and you get counseling support here, and proofing, and a lot of opportunities to have a quality essay come out as far as that's concerned. And recommendations will develop over time. Again, you're only in the sophomore year. But the activities list is something that is already sort of in play. Your boys are involved in things already. Understand that for most colleges, it's not length of list. It's not about being a serial joiner. It's about being an active and engaged participant in activities that are valuable. And I define that in leadership, commitment, responsibility. So how is it that the activities that a student is involved in allow for responsibility, leadership, commitment? And that gives us that glimpse of how they may contribute to our campus and how they may be a part of the environment that's attracted them to us in the first place as far as that's concerned. So certainly if your son is struggling to find that niche, you want to be a helpful nudge to test some things out. But don't worry if you see your son has one or two interests that take up a lot of time. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If that's where the interest is, that may turn out to be a great essay topic, because if that's an interest that they've developed and it's of such significance for them, that may be really, really valuable. So the activities part, which goes on all throughout high school, it's just important to know that your boys are engaging in the school community, perhaps in the community, whatever the opportunities are. Colleges will tell you that they do not have a favorite type of activity. We're not looking for all athletes. We're not looking for all actors. I don't want every single campus president, high school president. But you want kids from a range of activities, and if it's interesting to your son, then it should be interesting to us. And so we try and gather that information as well from our perspective. So we've got our academic component, and we've got our human component. And the academic component is the sift for who's qualified to succeed. And the human component is, and who are the best fits to our community. Just as your son and you as parents are assessing fit, so too do we assess fit in that college process to understand how we build a community that represents who we are as an institution as far as that process is concerned. So I guess I want to stress more than anything else that it's great to start in the sophomore year. It's a great opportunity to think about what might come down the pike, to sort of daydream a little bit about where your son's going to be 3 years from now when it's just past midterms of his freshman year of college. But it's going to come. It's going to come whether you want it to or not. It's going to come. But at the same time, if you rush it, if you focus too much on college now, then it can take away from maximizing the best experience that you can possibly have here at Gilman. The other thing I'd like to just kind of throw out there is, given the academic strength of this school and the kind of colleges and universities that your students, your son's peers, your older siblings have applied to, there are obviously a lot of schools that you are already familiar with by reputation and by name. Please be open-minded to a school you haven't heard of. I often talk about the fact that the best school for your son might be one that at this moment you have not ever heard of. And don't let your list simply focus on those that are already sort of on the radar screen. As you talk with your son about his interests and the kinds of things he wants to do, there'll be several schools that will fit that you've probably already heard of. But a lot of the guidebooks also provide, if you're looking at this school, you may want to look at this school. And you may see 2 or 3 schools in that list that you've never heard of, but they're worth at least checking out. Because over the last, 5 years, 6 years, looking at the profile, there are a lot of schools in this list of where 2 or more Gilman kids have enrolled in the last 5 years. But then there are all the ones not on here where a singular student went. And I'm betting that many of those schools are schools that you are not already familiar with. But for one of those Gilman boys, it turned out to be the right fit. So open-minded is certainly very much a part of this. This is about making the best possible choice for a 4-year great college experience. Again, it's early in your process. And I do this for juniors who are just starting, and sometimes there are fall senior year programs as well. One of the things I noticed that I find the college admission process to be extraordinarily exciting. Even as I went through it as a parent, I thought it was an exciting time in your child's life to think about the possibilities and the opportunities that come with this. But it's an exciting process once. It's not so exciting to be in October of the freshman year of college and have your son calling and saying, yeah, I made the wrong choice. Doing a college search from college is way less fun. So in terms of maximizing the experience here, the 2 sound bites to take away. First, get everything that you can out of the Gilman experience. Have your sons get everything they can out of the Gilman experience. If you're paying for it, it's a fabulous place. The educational opportunities here, we know about them as college admission professionals. So if you maximize high school, you're well prepared for college. And then the second point is, even at this early stage, as you think about the college search, remember to have really good, frank conversations with your sons about their interests and your thoughts on watching them mature. And understand that the time that you invest in a thoughtful, careful search for the best fit pays the dividends of never having to do it with that child again. So I'm going to stop there. I hope I've covered the ground that you guys were hoping for.